going. We have some stuff on the discussion part of the pad, but not a huge amount. So we can probably spend a little bit more time on individual feedback as well. That should be good. So, Dirk's busy loading stuff in. Philip, do you have anything to add there?
Where?
Into the Etherpad.
Yeah, I'll add things. Actually, there's one thing that we didn't get to talk about in the tech call, Dirk, which I put on the tech call agenda, which is improving the reporting, or like basically we talk a lot of tech stuff that's happening and that we want to do in the tech call, and then we talk about almost none of it in the community call. And so I'm wondering about like what's a way, like besides just putting a link to the tech Etherpad into the community Etherpad, like is there a way that we could have like a super quick, maybe we just copy and paste progress and priorities, or we summarize them, or like, I don't know what your ideas are there, but I think it'd be nicer. I think the community doesn't have any clue about what's going on in that with tech development, and I think it would make them, it'd be good to just close that loop.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the problems is that we have the community call so quick after the tech call, which makes it difficult to summarize and which makes it really boring for us, like to repeat everything again. But I'm quickly trying to, I also read that and I agree with you. And I think like it would be good to just put a brief summary of what we discussed in the community call notes, just like maybe progress and priorities, like you say. And then I think also it's maybe just important for the non-tech people to say when we should shut up about stuff or when stuff doesn't make sense, because not everyone's like a geek and interested in that. So
I think also in the light of the call that we had with the course organizers yesterday, which was a really good call. Like it was long, but it was valuable. If there's some way of communicating what's happening amongst the dev team, then it just means that it's much easier to show people like how busy you guys are if there's better reporting, because then we can like say to people like, these are our priorities at the moment. Or like if we know what the dates of the sprints are, then we can say to people, well, you know, all the stuff that you've requested as part of the sprint that's coming up at XYZ date, which, you know, means that people are a little less quick to harass you guys.
Yes. It sounds like you're planning excuses for us, Becca.
With a great big hatchet. Okay, so all of a sudden the Etherpad is filled up spectacularly. Awesome. Philip, do you want to talk a little bit about the Hewlett stuff?
Sure.
Just because I think while Vanessa and I have kind of been quite involved in working on that stuff, maybe not everybody knows about what
Yeah, and also actually the last version is a little bit different from the one that you guys saw. Or it pushes harder on one particular aspect, like it's more narrow. So basically it's the next Hewlett proposal that we've been invited to submit. It's going to be for 18 months and probably somewhere around $200,000. And we are hoping that they will like what we submit and that they will give us this money. But now we're in the process of kind of writing a proposal, and then we've gotten one round of feedback from them. We're making some changes now. And basically the pieces that there are a couple of pieces that we are interested in. like testing, but the way we're doing it is we're going to run 3 large courses. We haven't decided the topics yet, but writing is likely going to be one of them. Something around statistics and data could be one of them, and then there could be something around making. And actually, what was the 4th one that we started sketching out? We sketched out 4 ideas, but we're only going to run 3 large courses. But then, running those large courses, there are 2 things we want to look at. One is right now there's the metric for courses is completion. So it's like you sign up for a course, you complete the course, and it's obvious that in the large online courses, 95% of people do not complete the course. And so on one hand, completion seems to be a really bad metric because people participate, they don't complete, but they still learn a lot of stuff. So, how can we design a course that isn't structured as this, binary thing, like either you complete or you don't, like you don't show up at all. And then secondly, and so how can we design a course that allows people to participate in more different ways in a course that is in line with how they want to participate? And probably what we'll try is more like a staged approach where you start with something that's less demanding, both in times and commitment, and then your commitment increases and the barriers increase, but then you also get a lot more out of it. So the more you put in, the more you get out, but you have to recommit. So it's not like you're dropping out, but you're dropping in continuously, right? So it's just a different idea for course design, and then tracking success instead of completion, and defining success as some measure of engagement over time. So that's the one piece. And then the other piece is looking specifically at what they call deeper learning skills or deeper learning competencies that they refer to as academic mindsets. So when the Hewlett Foundation, in their open education funding, they're interested in things that support deeper learning. And deeper learning has 6 components. I probably wouldn't even remember all 6 of them right now offhand, but the one that is most interesting for us is the last one that they added recently, which is called academic mindsets. And it's all the things that you don't necessarily associate with learning, but which turn out to be really important habits and practices for good learners. It's the things that make people stick with courses and like persevere when they get stuck. It's things that build kind of a sense of confidence that they can succeed if they try hard. And there's a lot of research to kind of support this. And one of those is a sense of belonging to an intellectual community or an academic community. And it's an interesting thing because it turns out it's both a motivator to participate. So if you develop a sense of belonging to a community, the research suggests that motivates you to participate more, right? So that's nice, it draws people in. But also it's an outcome of good learning. So if you participate in a really good course, at the end, one of the things you get out of it is that you feel a sense of belonging to that community, which you can then participate in after the course. So the cool thing about this stuff is it's both draws people in and it's what we hope they will get out of it. And of course, it seems like a perfect alignment with P2PU, right? Like we've always been interested in this magic that happens between people when they are in a peer learning environment. We've never really been able to put our finger on what that magic is. And so if we could define that as a sense of belonging to a community, and we can start tracking that, and we can start comparing if people feel a stronger sense at the end of the course than at the beginning, we're kind of, that could be one step towards being better at describing what people learn at P2PU, which is what Becca keeps pushing us on. What are the people learning? So maybe this was a little complicated because it's kind of a long stretch from deeper learning competencies to academic mindsets. Within academic mindsets, we're looking at sense of belonging to a community, but those are the things that Dirk. Those are the things we're interested in. Dirk doesn't want to belong. Dirk doesn't want to have the sense of belonging to this community.
Yeah, you chased him away.
I chased him away.
You scared him off.
Chase you out of this community, Dirk.
Yes, completely. So I'm just sitting in the dark, completely in the dark, so I needed to switch on lights.
Okay, so that's Hewlett in a nutshell, in a very big nutshell. Cool. I think we're all quite excited to see what will end up coming out of that when it's ready to take a look at. I think the next item, as I kind of trundle down the list, and it ties into something that I've pinned to the discussion a little further down, is talking about or kind of giving a little bit of a report back on the call that we had yesterday with Jane and Karen Fussenpower, but I think we can hold on to that until we get through all of this stuff. Just looking through what Dirk's loaded in there. Dirk, you've asked how the creative learning course ended. Is that finished, Philip? Is that all done?
Mm-hmm.
And?
How did it end? It ended with a feedback and review session, which is online. You guys can all look at it. Maybe I should put the link in there. And then we also ran a survey that has 125 people or 125 responses. And we are now thinking about, we're going to have to write up some summary of this. So I've been speaking with Mitch and Natalie about putting some words on paper. And so as soon as we have that, and I will obviously share that with everyone. I can give, let's run through this. If we have a little time at the end, I'm happy to give a little more, like what have we learned from the experience.
Cool. Yeah, let's do that. What's come up a couple of times in the report back is stuff about discourse and what we're going to call it. So this kind of also preempts a little bit of what I'd added to the discussion, but we may as well talk about it now. As most people on this call will be aware, we haven't been like totally over the moon happy about using the community mailing list as a place for conversations. And a lot of the feedback that we've had from people who are newer to the community is that the mailing list is really quite an intimidating place to kind of step up, say hello, and get involved in. And so in our kind of explorations to make that better and easier and friendlier, we came across a tool called Discourse, which I think, Philip, connected to the Media Lab somehow. I can't quite remember the history of it, but it's basically a space for discussions where you can like group stuff by topic, and it sort of keeps stuff weirdly like compartmentalized but also more integrated at the same time. And the staff have been experimenting with this for about a month now, using it as a space to have some conversations, and it's been working really well. So what we're going to, I guess this is the first announcement, but obviously emails will follow it up, is that what we're going to do is we're going to try running Discourse as a place for some conversations concurrently with the mailing list for now, but we will probably move most conversations over to Discourse in the future. And one of the ways that we're going to do this is to basically invite the entire mailing list to Discourse as a way of kind of helping people ease into it. So one of the things we've had to decide is what we're going to call it. And Philip, because he doesn't have the headphones on, I can say this. Philip basically bullied us all into calling it The People, naming the group The People, which is actually the name of an old mailing list that I think used to go to the board, but doesn't go to the board anymore. So this is still kind of trial stuff, and we're still working on some of the tech, and it's not 100% totally sorted yet. We will obviously make a more formal announcement via the mailing list and probably another call very soon to kind of talk people through it. But that's, I think, what's keeping a lot of us occupied at the moment in various ways. So I don't know if Dirk or Chris or Erica, you want to add anything to that. I don't know if I've given the best description, but we are liking it.
Yes, we are liking it.
There we
Thumbs
go.
up.
Thumbs up from Dirk and Chris. Erica has a huge smile on her face. That's just about all you need at P2PU to kind of indicate consensus. Cool. there's a whole lot of tech stuff in there, which looks important. Is there anything there that you feel is most important to tell people about, Dirk, so that they back off and leave you alone? Everything looks important to me.
So there's one thing that I would like to mention, and that is that we are planning to do like a hardware-related upgrade for the Lineage server that's running P2PU.org. And we tentatively scheduled that to happen on Monday morning, South African time. So it should be during the time that everyone in the US still sleeps. But if there's anyone that has like something big happening on Monday, like I don't know, like a conference or so, then it would just be good to know so that we can maybe schedule that for the next Monday or so.
As far as I know, there isn't anything major happening for Monday. It's a bank holiday here in the UK, and I think it might actually be a holiday all over Europe as well. So probably okay, at least on this side. And a holiday in the US. Perfect. Okay, great. I think
also
we'll be okay.
on holiday.
Brilliant. So, if you want, Dirk, I'm happy to just kind of communicate that via, Twitter and the mailing list and stuff, just to let people know.
Yeah, I'll appreciate it if you do.
Yeah, sure, no worries.
Did you guys take notes somewhere about what you just talked about, so I can catch up?
It's basically all in, like, every Etherpad that we've discussed this in.
This what?
The discussion about discourse.
Okay, I had to go away for 2 minutes. I missed the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, but you didn't miss anything. There's nothing that you haven't discussed with, certainly not with me or with any other staff.
Okay, cool. Put some notes, like before I had to go, I put some notes at the bottom there. Discourse as a new space for conversations, which I think you put in there, Becca.
Yeah.
So I added notes. So maybe if there's anything else you guys discussed, maybe. Oh, and the domain name, I think we.
Yeah, but that is changing. We talked about the fact that will change.
Can we decide that right now? Is that possible?
Yeah, no, that the people.p2pu.org is that's the new one. That is the one.
Oh, nice.
Basically, we're making the board feel completely irrelevant by doing this because we've stolen the name of their mailing list.
They weren't using it.
No, the people goes to you and me and a bunch of other people, Becca.
Yeah, it used to go to the board.
No.
Are you sure?
Board at p2pu.org goes to the board, I think. Yeah.
Okay, even better. Then we haven't alienated the board. That's great. Okay, cool.
We can think of other ways to alienate them.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we can come up with a million ways to alienate the board if we really tried hard enough. Probably not a good idea though. Okay, so process stuff. Philip's running around like a headless chicken. Be nice to him if he misses things. Any other process stuff? Anything else that anyone wants to add to the general report back stuff? This being a general report back call? No? Great. Then we get on to the fun stuff, which is the discussion. So, process for feedback from partners and other people. Dirk, I think you put that in there. Do you want to kick it off?
I put it in there because Jane said she's going to talk about it. But, so, I think, Becca, correct me if I'm wrong about it, but Jane sent out the email with a summary just about the discussion we had yesterday. And she suggested a process for us to, well, I think it mostly applies to schools because other people don't have a school organizer to do this. But she recommended that for instance, for the School of Open, that someone in School of Open gathers the feedback like we have done up until now, and then goes through that, but then that we have like semi-regular, either 4-week or 6-week periods where we just talk about it a little, and that from there we migrate the suggestions that we felt was important enough into an open Trello board that anyone can essentially see. And I think then probably what's missing from that side is like, how do we implement that? How do we schedule the work happening? And I think like during today's tech call, we've decided that the work or the improvements that are suggested and the things that we want to work on with regards to that, we'll probably block it all into like a week or 2 weeks work, and then for that week or for 2 weeks, depending on if me and Erica does it like together or not, we'll just do that and work through the feedback.
Yeah, I think that's generally it. I think what came out of that call most strongly for me was that it's sometimes hard for the schools to know how loudly they feel like they need to shout about stuff, because the kind of operations within P2PU have always felt to the school organizers like they're kind of happening in a black box, right? And so they haven't really known like how all that stuff fits together. So I think yesterday's call was really useful. It was also very useful because we were able to get a sense, at least from Karen and Jane, as to which issues were the most important to them, because it's also very hard for us to know, as kind of requests come through, how they feel about stuff, like whether this is just something that pops into their heads like a feature request, or whether it's something that really is affecting their ability to do things. And we agreed that the most kind of beneficial way to do this will be a combination of kind of human conversation and open process. So with an open Trello board, school organizers will be able to see what we're doing and be able to see how stuff has been ranked and the process that they're going through. And they can also point their participants to that if and when they start getting frustrated or have questions. But that there is also a degree of human interaction, so we actually talk about this stuff as and when. And also that the schools are okay with us saying, like, we can't prioritize a certain thing at any particular point, or, you know, there's a request and at that particular point we have to politely decline because it's just not high enough of a priority for us. They're okay with that. Like, they don't seem to have a problem with that. It's just about making it kind of explicit. So yeah, it was a good call. It was long, but it was good. I don't know if anyone has any questions. I posted a link to that conversation in the chat. Dirk.
So one question I would ask is like, who would champion the things that people that's not in schools request?
Yeah, that's a good question, because that came up on the call. Like, we're presuming that everyone has a school to go through, but obviously that's not the case, and there are going to be some people who are independent, just